and I am excited to be interviewing an absolute rock star today, Cortney Swann, who has been totally smashing it inside of our network marketing company, but I know she's got multiple income streams. She's got like 220,000 followers just on Facebook alone. Is that right, Cortney?
I've got a little over 400,000 on Facebook.
Woo, 400,000 over on Facebook, just on that one platform. She goes live all the time. She's building this incredible personal brand. And what I love about her is that she's just authentic. She keeps it real. She just has conversations with her audience. But this is what we've been teaching for like 10 years. We teach people how to build a brand, how to leverage the internet, how to leverage social media, how to show up online without feeling like an infomercial, without feeling like a spammer. And it's amazing when I come across people like you, people that have created influence, people that have built that personal brand, and they're just having fun. They're just having fun. They're having authentic conversations with their audience, building that know, like, and trust. And when you're relatable, you're personable, you can promote things and it doesn't even feel like selling. You're just like, hey, this is something I use. This is something that's helped me. Maybe it'll help you. So, but I'm excited to hear your story first, and then we can get into some of the good stuff. So welcome to the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for having me. Whenever you reached out, I was like, yeah, that would be so great. I come from like a background of not doing social media. You know, I was just a mom with kids and poor, really, really poor, and could I got into network marketing with another company about 10 years ago, and I sold a stroller and some shoes to get started. Like, I did not have, like, if my thoughts were if I could like pay my light bill or pay a car payment, it would like change my life, you know? And it really would. And so I had 50 followers when I got started, and between all platforms now, we have closer to like 700,000 followers. So I would say if you're like, hey, could you do this if you don't have any following? You absolutely could. And so I think for me, completely introverted. And if I wasn't in that point of like desperation, maybe I would not have like taken this route, but it has unlocked like a total complete opportunity that like you could only dream of. Like, influencers were not a thing when I got started. I would have like 13 people hop on. I'd be like, well, there's my best friend and my sister and my mom, you know? And for a while, that's how my business was. And then I think the more that you're allowing yourself to be vulnerable, I went in about 5 years into my business, I did start going viral. You know, I'd been consistent for a long time, but I got some brand opportunities that allowed me to really expand my following. And so I went from like negative checking account to millionaire in a very short amount of time, like less than 2 years. And so for anyone out there who just feels like, man, I'm like learning the things, like eventually if you keep doing the right things and you learn like attraction marketing and how to connect to your audience and being vulnerable with others and like only like I try to sell products that I absolutely love, and there's enough things that I absolutely love that I don't push the stuff that I don't really love. And but just being like authentic with the ups and downs of my life. And then also like, goodness gracious, I have 4 kids and like dogs and cats and, you know, all the things, a special needs child. And like, if I could do this, anyone could, you know? And so I think that also showing people like, hey, this is how I fit this into like the little nooks and crannies of my day, or this is how we make it work. You know, we just built a brand, and it's been a really exciting journey.
I love it. And then is Facebook your number one?
Facebook is where I get the most, sales and interaction. And then Instagram would be number 2. And then I haven't figured out my way on TikTok yet, but I for where I am to try and keep up with what I have going on.
Clearly you're doing good without it. How did you figure out? Because obviously, you know, things were probably a lot different 10 years ago, but still similar conversation. Like, you have to figure out like, who am I talking to? What do I want to talk about? How did you figure that out? What helped you make that decision? Because I know a lot of people, that's their number one pain point, right? When it comes to creating content, they're like, I don't know what to talk about. I don't know who I'm talking to. How did you get that clarity?
Okay, so I think the biggest thing is just like get to know who follows you. Like these are your people. Like this is who you're making content for. Like I know for myself, like my audience is 99.6 women. Like I have, like you're probably one of my 0.4%. Like it's like my husband's uncle, like maybe a couple people I went to high school with. Like I do not, I'm glad I met my husband because he was my neighbor, or else like I don't attract men. Like I don't know, I have a full woman audience. And so I know for me, like I am not going to put out content that like my content is for women. And then depending on who you're selling to, you have to put your content out there. Like we all know the difference between a good bra that's like helping you and like you're trying to like get your best friend's husband to come over, you know, like, you know, the difference. And so when you're selling things, you have to think of who your audience is, because you don't want to offend those types of people. You don't want to like burn those bridges. And so I think there's a fine line of like, hey, we are relatable. We're giving our best tips, but I'm not out here trying to like make anybody's family life uncomfortable, you know? And I think that's important too, because there's such a fine line these days of like with the Get Ready With Me videos, with all these things of like how far they go. And so, but knowing who they are and then showing that you care. There's a huge amount of growing all these people and growing this following. But like, when was the last time you just started getting in your DMs and talking to the people who actually hop on your lives now, thanking them for watching you, like thanking them for their order, like following up with them? Did they like their products? Like really connecting with them. And then once we got to like a much larger level, I started taking on when it was something that only I could do or messages that were personal. That's what I take. But if it's something that they just want links, I do have help for that. But like knowing who your audience is and helping them to really like dig and let them know that you care about them, I think makes them feel not just like another number, even at a large level, that you can still achieve that of making people feel important. And if you are at a small level, you know, asking for those shares, helping people. So then if you do get 6 new people on your live, after the live's over, you can just like thank them. And not that you want anything from them, like just connecting, like, and getting to know them. And eventually, if you actually care about the other people, they will start caring and seeing like what you're into as well.
I love that. And then do you have advice for people that, you know, maybe they feel like their content would be boring, or their life is boring, or they're doing the videos, but they're struggling with like standing out, getting attention? What would be your advice for someone like that?
Probably find what you're good at, what like actually lights you up and makes you excited. So if you feel like what you're talking about is boring, then maybe it's vegetables, or maybe it's what lights you up that you're super excited. You're like, can you believe that if you put a strawberry in the ground, you will get a strawberry plant? Like what? Like if you find something, it doesn't matter what it is, like find what you find entertaining and you'll start attracting people who are like, well, I think that's great too. And it doesn't just feel like so bleh. And then I try and keep most of my pages 70 and 80% of all the things that I love, not what I'm selling, the activities with my kids, like we're going and doing these different things. Like I am a brand, and then I share about 20% of actually what I'm selling. So people know a lot more about me. Like they will buy into you before they ever buy whatever product you're selling. And I think that's why in some ways I've been so successful with so many brands. I've sold around $55 million in products in the last 10 years. And it's because people connect to me. And then when I genuinely tell them, I have found something that is going to change your life, listen, this is worth every penny. They're like, if she says it's going to change my life, and then I make sure to not make claims like that unless it's actually something that I'm like, I have had curls for 5 days with this curling iron. You got to ever. And so,
But see, that's a big point there. You're not just selling something to make money. You're like, hey, I need to experiment with this first. I need to make sure it works before I share it, because that's my credibility. And I love that. That's such a good point that sometimes people miss. They're just promoting things because they make money, and then they can't make money with it because people are like, well, I bought the last 2 things you suggested and it didn't work out. So that's a good point. Yeah.
Yep. Or like, what's in it for them? You know, is it just because you're making a higher commission, or there's something that's like actually better for them? And so that maybe you would make less money if they didn't buy all of it. But I think my customers, when I say, no, like if you're already buying this, you don't need to buy this and this too. Just use this, see how it goes. And if we need to change it up and add something, we can. But why don't we start here? And there's a lot of trust that's built by like not taking advantage of people. You know, I think if you stick to the golden rule of like being kind to others, not taking advantage of them, genuinely trying to help people succeed, then you'll see like it just comes right back to you.
So true. And how do you suggest someone gets good and comfortable with live videos? Because we've been teaching live videos for 10 years. We do live video challenges, but still you get people that they take the path of least resistance, right? They're like, oh, I'd rather do reels, or I'd rather talk in my stories. And that works, but the live videos have always been the best for us. I think you do a lot. How many live videos do you do per week on average?
I mean, I try to go at least once a day most weeks, but not on the weekends. Like sometimes I'll just do like a skincare live on the weekend. And then I also talk about several different things at the same time, you know? Mm-hmm. And so, but I always plan beforehand what I'm going to talk about. Like, it's not just like pulling
not winging it. Yeah.
It looks like it is. I already have all my links set up. We also use something called mini chat if you're ever to the point to where, I don't know if you guys use that at all as well. But you know, like that way I can send out direct links of every single product that I talked about to anyone who hopped on my live at anything. And so that sends them out, but also putting all of the direct links like in the description of the video. The simpler I can make it for my customer that they only have to click right here and they can get what they need. All the things are like spelled out for them. I feel like I have the best results. And then knowing ahead of time, like, okay, this is what I'm going to talk about first. This is how I'm going to transition. And if you're struggling with live videos, I used to put Post-it notes everywhere, even if things like, what could I talk about if I felt like it got weird? Yeah. Daughter had a soccer game this weekend. What did they do this weekend? What are they having for dinner? I mean, I had like Post-it notes all over of just key topics so that if I did only have 10 people on my live and it felt like crickets, I was like, what can I keep talking about? Now I don't have to do that. I guess I'm complete professional at talking to myself for an hour and normally get enough interaction that I can like pull a comment and start talking about like, oh, are you going to have more kids? I can like go into that conversation or something. But that's great for someone who's nervous. And then the biggest thing, I used to get hives all the time when I would go live. But I think the biggest difference was when I started looking at it as like, maybe today I could teach them something new. Like instead of worried, what are they going to think about me? What are they going to think I'm good at this? Am I an expert enough? Am I qualified enough? The reality is they don't have to watch me if they don't want to. So when I took off myself of like, I'm not forcing the internet to watch me. And then I have like, maybe somebody's had a bad day. Maybe they're going through cancer treatments and they just need somebody to make them laugh. Like maybe they'll never buy a product from me, but like I talk a lot about faith. Like maybe I can help be a light into their life. Like I just, you know, like maybe I can just help impact someone and it has nothing to do with sales. And when I started like looking at going lives as today, I'm going to help other people have a good day. And then if the sales came back, yay. And if they didn't, then hopefully I helped someone like have a smile, laugh a little, feel good about themselves, feel confident in their own skin, like feel like they're not the only one going through the things that they're going through. And so when you start thinking like, not about the judgment side, but what you have to give, it takes the pressure off of you that like, you know, it's not as much about like, okay, I'm going to go on and try and make 3 sales today. Like this is then all you're talking about is the sales. So instead, if you are like, today, my goal is to make people feel good, then they're genuinely going to be interested in what you're talking about.
It's so true. And I think that's the big challenge for a lot of people is, you know, they have that desperation, right? They have that commission breath. And when you have commission breath, and you come on too strong, too eager, and all you're doing is selling and pitching, this is why you struggle. And I think it's so important. And you said it, 80% of the time you're sharing your life, you're talking about your kids, you're sharing tips, you're talking about your faith, you're talking about your story, you're sharing things that are relatable. And sometimes we forget that's the most important thing, to build influence and get to the point where you need the mini chat and you got the links and you can sell on demand and do 55 million in sales. First, you have to build that know, like, and trust, that influence, that credibility. And that comes through consistency. Like you might see Cortney right now and go, oh my gosh, like, you know, she's so inspiring and I could never talk like that. I would be so nervous. And it's like, yeah, she just told you she used to get hives. Like I used to get super nervous. Look, by the way, I still get nervous. Maybe not with live videos, but when I have to speak on stage, especially when it's like thousands of people, of course you get a little nervous. Like, you know, check your pulse. Like if you don't get nervous when you're doing something that you don't do that often, or you're doing something you've never done before, embrace the suck. You're going to suck at video. You're going to suck at first telling your story. But here's the beauty. And I bet Cortney would be able to attest for this too. Most of the people that follow me today Most of the people that know me today, that work with me today, they didn't know me when I first started doing videos. Most of the people that we've attracted were not the people that we attracted in 2013 when we first started doing videos. That was more our existing network of people. A lot of the people that follow us have been following us for 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, 7 years, 8 years. So just know that the point of doing this, branding thing, this content creation thing, it's not necessarily to talk to the people that already follow you, although that is important, but it's also building up a new network of people, which is only going to come through the consistent effort and getting really clear, which is what Cortney suggested in the beginning for those of you that got on late, is who are you talking to? And the easiest people for you to talk to, and I know this is crazy town, this is a crazy concept, but talk to people just like you. How old are you? Where are you from? What do you believe in? What do you like? What do you love? What do you despise? What are your challenges? Talk about pain points. And one thing that's really smart, and I know, Cortney, I've seen some of your videos, you do a great job with this. You're telling your story and you're rubbing salt in the wound, as I like to call it, right? You know the problems that you have had or are having, and the people that follow you have the same problems, right? Whether it's raising kids or dealing with whatever we're dealing with in life. And this is where it's all about that relatability. And you start to look at things differently when you're creating content. You're not trying to make a buck, you're trying to make an impact. So what else would you suggest for people that are maybe, they're doing the videos, they're doing the content, but they do want to be more consistent and have more clarity on the content that they want to create? What would be some more advice you could give them?
Probably show up as if you're the best version of yourself. Like if you said, okay, if I was going to be the best version of myself today, what would I eat? What would I drink? How would I show up?
Love that.
Would I show up prepared? How would the best version of myself dress for this? Maybe you're not there yet, but you can choose, to be and show up. I'm going to show up as the expert. Make a list of 10 things that you want your brand to be known for. Do you want to, and on that list, even when I was not, I could not even do highlight and contour and whatever, full eyeshadow look. I started out in makeup and actually I started out in fitness and then moved to makeup. Anyways, it doesn't matter. But I've definitely been known for hair and makeup for a long time. And so, but I wanted to be known as an expert that if you were going to an event, you would come to my page to watch how to do something. And I was not good at it. And so I would go up and I was going to teach them tips for how they could do this. And okay, here's a simple thing I learned. People love to learn simple things. This one trick, you can use this one product 2 different ways. They love things like that. And so you don't have to overcomplicate it, but showing up as the best version of yourself, maybe not who you are, maybe not the fact that you can't pay your bills yet or that you're not, but that doing this industry can get you from here to here. So I'm going to show up and I'll share the stories of other successful people until I'm successful. I will not, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can duplicate what other successful people have done. If you're nervous, you're shy, you're timid, you're insecure, that is not who you want to show up as. Even you almost have to turn it on that even if today's been a bad day, I'm showing up as who people want to follow. And so, because even as you have a big following, you're going to have days where you don't feel like it. And if I only went live when I felt like going live, I would rarely go live. But you go live and you do the things. It's not because it's an emotional decision. I show up because it's my job. I show up because I didn't have the opportunity to go to college, I could now, but I don't want to now. So I will, but I want my kids, if they would like to, or if they want to pursue being an artist, I want them to have options. I started working at 14. I didn't have options. And so I want my kids to have options. So I show up trying to be the best version of myself. And if I notice things where I'm hey, I need to work on this so that I can grow, or maybe I have to do something that's uncomfortable, but I feel like this will be good for my brand. And this is going to push me a little bit. You just get sweaty, pat your upper lip and do it.
It's so true though, right? People show up to their job from 9 to 5. They don't just show up for an hour. We can do a video for an hour, 30 minutes, whatever. And it's it's done for the day. Meanwhile, people are I don't really feel like doing videos. I'm not good at videos. It's you show up to your job every day that you hate. You show up to work every day to build someone else's company, not for an hour or 2, but for an entire day, an 8-hour day. And you do it again the next day. So yeah, it's so true. You do the thing. And it's funny. You do the thing you don't feel like doing, but eventually, once you go live, even if you don't feel like it, once you start doing it, it's that law of inertia, right? A body at rest tends to stay at rest. A body in motion tends to stay in motion. You don't feel like working out? Go work out for 10 minutes. All of a sudden, you're working out for an hour. You don't feel like doing a live video? You're like, I'll just do a 5-minute video. 55 minutes later, you're like, damn, I can talk. But I think it really does boil down to creating those habits and disciplines and remembering why you got started.